Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another broadcast of the Snap Note Tap podcast with, of course, the legendary Joe Cardinal and Nico Indovina, and our very special guest today, a dear friend, great martial artist, student, leader, everything, Mr. Jason Bender from Chicago, Illinois. Welcome, guy.
How are you? Good to see you, Coach. Miss you.
Miss you too, man. Everybody misses everybody with this COVID stuff, and I've got to make a quick announcement before I forget because somebody emailed me this week asking me if that was me on the tubs doing in the introduction, if it was me playing the drums with Jerry. No, it was a very gifted jazz drummer from
Thank you.
Chicago named Rusty Jones, who sadly is no longer with us. So no, that was not me on the drums. I have played with Jerry in the past when I was still a active jobbing musician, and it was an honor and a thrill. It always is to do something with a person that your mentor or your idol or whatever. And Jerry was and is all of those things, musically, and he was a Cleveland boy too, born in Cleveland but moved out here, as I mentioned before, in the 60s. But anyway, yeah, we are, as you know, trying to get a different guest probably once a month, and we have a little list of people who are committed to coming, and Jason was one of them. So, and when a person comes on the show, it's hopefully never a one and done thing. They can always come back, and the beauty of this Zoom is that we can have quite a few people. I believe up to 100. Not that we would ever have 100 guests, but I mean, you never know. So normally, Jason, you're new to this, but normally I just check in on Joe Cardinal and Nico and see how their week was, and then we can get right into having Jason take over. How you been, Joe Cardinal?
It's been another rough week at work, man. It's just all kinds of problems, a lot of late hours. So I'm glad it's over. I'm glad to be here at the weekend. And of course, class is still going. So I got my final Wednesday. So I'll be glad when that's over. But we'll see how it goes, man. It's been the last few weeks have been bumpy.
Let us know how you do. I'm sure you'll pass. What's up with you, Nico?
Nothing new. I'm glad to see Jason over here.
Yeah, we all worked out together. For those that don't know, Jason, and there was another guy or two that would come in because Jason had a gym in Chicago, and he during this virus, he moved, got his own place, and I'm going to let Jason tell you all about it. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Hey, Coach. Yeah, so at a place called Cheetah Gym in Andersonville, and for folks that don't know Andersonville, it's a very progressive neighborhood. You'll say it's a very left-leaning, and it's like a paradise for people that just want to be nice to each other, and it's real family oriented. It's very LGBTQ friendly, and it's a really nice neighborhood. Mostly, it's very beautiful spot in Chicago. Overwhelmingly, people are nice in the neighborhood, and it has cute shops, and it's like its own little town. And then even the neighborhoods off of it. So I only live 10 minutes north of Andersonville in Rogers Park. So Rogers Park is a little less affluent than Andersonville, but we have kind of that same vibe. Chicago, that's what the thing I love about Chicago is I feel like I live in a small, I grew up in a town of 3 stoplights, graduated with like 55 people, but I feel like I know my neighbors more in Chicago than I did back home. And so I really wanted to stick around Andersonville because it's further south than where I live. So people from the southern parts of Chicago, bunch of neighborhoods south, people that live in like uptown, and maybe even I even have some people that live downtown. That I have one student that lives downtown, and she takes an Uber every class and comes on up. And it's 1,200 square feet. We're actually going to add some mat space on here next week. I started slow and light, and yeah, no problem. It's real life. Sorry. And we started with 2 rows of the mats that are 1 meter by 2 meter. The nice mats I had at Cheetah, right? The
Yeah.
nicer of the blue mats. Those are 1 meter by 2 meters. We did two rows of 11 to start off because we're like, we don't know if this is a bad idea. We knew we're opening up a gym during a time when gyms are closing. We knew that, but I was willing to take the risk. So but we were trying to be smart about spending any money. So we just got a fairly small mat area. It was still, what are we looking at? Like 500 square feet right now. But still, if you get, if you get 3 groups of 2 and they're working out hard, they're really rolling, they're really doing jiu-jitsu, they're really doing Muay Thai, you're going to bump into each other right now. So we're already going to add on, and it'll be 750 square feet. And that'll be a lot more breathing room. And I think with that amount of space, we could probably fit 10 groups of 2 doing drills. And then probably, I'm going to say 4 groups of 2 could go pretty hard, could go do a full grappling match, still carefully. And the place is, it's nice. It's brand new construction. Well, it's an old building, and apparently it was an old mental hospital, which
That's fitting.
Yeah, right.
I was already thinking, I'm like, no wonder I felt at home right away. I'm like, this is where I should have been anyhow. And all my friends that'll come in with me are all Looney Tunes too. So
So that's
You
the
talking to me?
yeah, all of you.
That's the
knuckleheads.
therapy session.
So
It's still in Andersonville, correct?
yeah, it's in Andersonville. It's just a block further west, but a block further north. I have these front windows that get some pretty decent sunlight. It's a straight building, or it's a straight 1,200 square foot room. So there's no pillars in the middle. It's like 10-foot tall ceilings, and we have the windows in front. Let some nice natural light come in, and right there's the berm for the Metra train. So the Metra goes by right in front of my window, which is kind of pretty cool. And I get it's just green right along the berm, so we're looking at I can see some trees and everything with some sunlight. It's nice. So
Well, that's nice. Are you along Ravenswood then?
Yeah, I'm right on Ravenswood.
That's a cool area.
What about
it's a really nice
parking?
area.
What about car parking?
There's an entire huge lot.
That's great.
Yeah, and well, I don't have access to that exactly. So here's the deal with that. I technically only have 1 spot, but the parking lot is always empty. So I don't know what the deal is with it. But everybody tells me that they don't have a problem finding street parking at all. So street parking is ample right there. And I have 1 spot, and I don't drive. So I always have at least 1 person that can take my parking spot. And then the lot's always empty. So I don't know what the deal is going to be. So.
All right, cool. Because I would have to drive in, but
Yeah, I'd give you my spot, of course.
Oh, thanks. Well, that's I'm happy for you. I was nervous because it was happening during, this chaotic thing. But in a way, if you can swing it, you can get everything organized, get it all going, and like you're doing now, you're like expanding. Okay, we tried it. Let's get a little bit more. That's good. And everybody, I highly recommend Jason as an instructor if you're ever in anywhere remotely close to that. I mean, he'll leave his contact information later here, and he'll what we'll do is I'll have him email Joe Cardinal, and then Joe can put it on the at least on the YouTube page on the link, so you'll have all of his contact information. But I'm a stickler. I very rarely recommend anybody because I just don't think a lot of people are skilled enough, really. And Jason is one of those people that's skilled enough by far, and he's got so many trophies and belts and oh my God. I mean, if I owned a pawn shop, I could be rich just on
That's
taking in his
a
belts.
lot of second and third places in tournaments of 2 and 3. They still give you a trophy.
That's okay. When I watched Meet the Parents, he got an award for 10th place. So you're okay. And you kind of remind me of Ben Stiller in a way, but that's another story for another time. But Jason and I have actually known each other a long time, I guess, through Javier Palomo. I've known Javier for 20 years, and boy, it's just, and met a few other people. One guy that Jason and I don't know, I can't remember who the kid is. Again, we're going back 20 years, and I don't think Jason, I tried to describe him. Jason says he didn't know him. Javier would probably know him. I got to ask Javier. But yeah, Jason, I kicked my camera. Jason, it's just been great, but he's been a great friend too.
How are you guys handling COVID? What are your procedures? How do you handle that? That's got to be really tough.
It's tough. Well, one, we're keeping it pretty small, so that's the good thing. Is I the rent is nice at my place right now. Like we had no problems. Um, we didn't even want to negotiate. We're like, that's a good price. So one, just my overhead isn't much. So there's that. So I don't have to have a lot of students right now. So I'm quite content with my roster of, I think I have about 15 to 20 people that are regulars. And then I have another, 10 or so that bop in and out, once or twice a month. They'll take a class once or twice a month. But my regulars, everybody's just taken COVID in their personal life very seriously, that we're just making that vow to each other that, you don't congregate with people. You don't do, you go to the store as little as possible. Try to only see the people that you live with, and those people should be smart kind of thing. So we're being kind of picky about who even comes in. That's another one. Two, at the door, we check temperature and the oxygen saturation meter thing that can tell if you're uh, somehow, some way shoots a laser into you. I don't know, but if it's below 97, you should go get your and let's say their temperature is high and they have that numbers below 97. I'd probably just tell the person, hey, why don't you just go get a quick COVID test? Today's probably not a good day to work out. Your temperature's a little high, and this oxygen saturation that usually should be at 98, 99, 100%. Right now, today, it's like at 90, 95 or something like that. If it's below 97 and they have a high temperature, or I should say.
Well, my cousin tested positive this week in Pennsylvania, and she's I don't have it. People know I really don't have any family, but I do have a cousin that I'm close to in Cleveland, Nancy, and a cousin in Pennsylvania, Paulette. And yeah, she wasn't doing well. She wasn't feeling well. So I will get a hold of her this afternoon and find out, because she's a Steeler fan. And right there, it shows you that there's something wrong with her. But we normally go at it each week because of the Browns and the Steeler thing. But seriously, she wasn't well, and this is a scary, it's a scary thing. So I'm glad that you're taking these precautions, because most people in this area are not. Bars and restaurants that are supposed to be closed for indoor dining or consumption are not following the protocols. They're staying open. So that's not a good thing.
Do you guys
Jason,
use any masks?
Yeah, we wear masks. Yeah,
where'd you get that O2 sensor?
you can just find them on Amazon. Yeah, they're only like $50.
Nice.
So it's what we have for now until there's. I saw an article. I don't know how much further along it is or anything. I saw a thing where they were saying somebody may have found some university may have found a COVID breathalyzer. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
get those off the line, right? And then before we can get a safe vaccine, if you can just blow into the thing and it can, and I guess it's not exactly a COVID detector. it shows some kind of sign that you might have COVID, kind of like what I'm doing now with the temperature and oxygen level. It's just doing what I can. So,
We should
but apparently,
probably get a breathalyzer for our training sessions anyways when we start back up.
Yeah, right. Well, that's good though. I mean, but I had mentioned Jason before, and I know we have quite a few podcasts up now, and they're long, so it's hard for people to listen to all of them. But as wrestlers, as athletes, boxing and wrestling, we're generally very hygienic. We're very clean people because we've lived our whole life in a world of germs and, ringworm and just other things that can, be passed around. So we're on that. We've always been, I don't want to use the term cutting edge, but we're always very clean and sterile. We try to keep the mats clean, keep ourselves clean, and so this should not be any big deal for us. It's just another couple of minutes of safeguarding. It's a good thing.
yeah, even before COVID, I had the foot washing station before you
Yeah,
step onto the mats at Cheetah,
I remember.
So same thing. We're still, I'm like, that hasn't changed at all, of course. And yeah, the nice thing here is I can keep it even cleaner because it's a closed room. Well, I can open up the windows when I want to. But it's not like at Cheetah, there was people going in and out, people
Yeah.
using weightlifting chalk and all this, where this is my room, and the people take their shoes off right at the door. And, once you go past a certain line, no shoes all the way. So it's, and then I just mop the hell out of it constantly with this super mat cleaner, that Jimmy Pedro himself sold me. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Do you have Wi-Fi or no?
Oh yeah. Oh
Oh,
yeah.
good.
Wi-Fi.
That's great. Yeah. No, sounds like you have a great setup. And again, I want to just say that Cheetah Gym was always very obligatory to me. It was a great facility there. And if you guys are interested, anybody in the area is interested in weightlifting or that kind of stuff, that's a great place to go. It's clean. It had 3 levels. Matter of fact, I never even went up to the top floor. I just, but yeah, it was so very nice place there as well. But yeah, well, the scenery was kind of good sometimes. But you're right. You had people coming, and you didn't have your privacy, so to speak. And I'm really glad that you got your own facility now. It's going to be great, and I can't wait to see it. Once all this dust settles, we're going to get back at it, and then you're going to wish that COVID was still around. So I'm going to put you through those hard workouts again, but this time it'll be. I get kind of funny, I'm a private guy, as you guys know, and with all the, let's call it the traffic, the human traffic that was in there to people, I kind of like, it was hard for me to coach in that environment because, I wanted us to be kind of secretive and private away from them guys. And yeah, you can't, because everybody hears you and everybody's watching. And, sometimes what we do can be actually embarrassing because,
Off-putting.
yeah, off-putting, right? Because Jason is like I say, a world-class martial artist and instructor. And when we go through our workouts, it's tough. And, you don't look your best. You don't, because you're like,
Well, I was training yesterday. I was training a father and a son. The son is, I'm going to say 12, give or take that area, at preteen age, where you can tell he's really smart. He's picked up on a lot of stuff. His family seems to be a very good family. He requested to listen to a song, but it had to be the clean version. He says, because there's a version we shouldn't hear, but I like the clean version a lot. He says, so he's a good kid, right? And he's asking questions, and I'm just teaching basic self-defense, and I'm like trying to keep it real simple, just like and always coming back to always saying, especially with him being that age, if we can ever just avoid this at all costs, we can ever avoid this at all costs, and always coming back to just the basic principles of self-defense. But then we got a little deeper. I go, okay, now things got pretty serious. Somebody knocked you on the ground, and somebody's sitting on your chest in what we call mount position and all this stuff. And then I was showing him various things from here, and he's like, well, what do we do what happens if they do this? What happens if they do this? And then at some point I said, and I kept coming back to, strangles and joint locks. And then I, at, and I try not to talk too much about the strangles. I go, but I'll teach you that later on. We'll talk about that later on. But we manipulate the opponent enough to where they go to sleep. And that's just the way I'm putting it. And then at a certain point, he said something, and I kind of just used the terminology that you and I would use, where I go, well, that's when I would take his shoulder and put his thumb to the back of his head, and he won't be able to use that arm correctly ever again if he decides to do that or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember what I said. He just goes, wow, you're talking like real violence and like murder. And I'm like, this is not something I ever want to do, young man, but yes, these are the things we are preparing for. And you forget that sometimes, because especially since I live in it, it's fun. Jiu-jitsu is fun. We tap each other out. Oh, we're good. And all that stuff. And, and judo's really big on taking care of your partner. Even though you're throwing them to the earth, you should always make sure they have a hand to slap out with and things like that. And it's real big on taking care of your partner. And then I don't know about you guys, but I forget sometimes that what we're doing is real violent and real deal stuff,
I don't forget. But
So
yeah,
keep that kid away from Tony.
I get your point, and again, you have it. It's your home. That gym is your home now.
Mhm.
And that's what I really am happy for you about, because a lot of times you and I would have to do things on the side, sneak it kind of at Cheetah Gym, just kind of thing. Yeah. And that's hard. It's kind of stressful because you got to watch what you say. You got what, blah, 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 blah. And like you just said, what we do, what I teach, and when we're at it, it's really, no holds barred for real. It's all hardcore. And you got people there in the surrounding gym. It's kind of, it's difficult. And I'll tell you this much. I remember I knew a girl. Okay. So I was friends with this man, and his daughter was a yoga fitness instructor at a I won't mention the place at the time. And she left. I mean, it was bad because that place was open for, let's just say martial arts, different style. I'm not going to get into it, but it was bad. It was rude. It was ugly. It was sexual harassment going on there and everything else. She had to finally hightail it out of there. So, it's great when you can have your own place and you can control, like you mentioned, the boy wanted to listen to music. You can play whatever you want to play. You can do anything you want to do. You want to turn the air up? You want to turn the heat up? You can do it.
Mhm.
That's what's great. I'm so happy for you. You got to believe me, man. It's a good thing that good people have good things happen to them. It's awesome.
Oh, I also
But
forgot I bought 2 air purifiers. They say that each one is for like a 350 square foot room. So I technically need to get at least another 1 or 2, but it's a good start. I wasn't going to buy 4 air purifiers all at once, but I have them like right in front of the mats though, and giant ceiling fan. So that's another thing I'm doing is these air purifiers can apparently clear out a smoke filled room within an hour. And so that was another thing I did. Excuse me. They were fairly inexpensive on like a couple hundred, like $250 or something. I don't remember what it was.
well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, when you're not in a rush,
Yeah.
that's the only, well, if you're buying from Amazon, that's cool. Now, I've been trying to get this video situation set up, and I've been buying off of eBay. I mean, this is the way I am, but I'm getting everything used, and the shipments, every single one is delayed, completely and utterly and totally delayed. So that's scaring me because I'm coming to I got to get everything up here this week and figure out if I need anything else, because I'd like to get stuff launched, but by Christmas, hopefully, to like run some sort of Christmas sales thing, or January 1st for sure. But my point is, Friday, I needed. Okay, as a matter of fact, I'm going to show you because I got it right here. Because I needed a special adapter for the new camera and the mic that I'm ordering, and I need so it would slide into this. So I'm looking around and I found they actually had a 2-pack on Amazon. Okay. and I bought this wind mic because I had the pop filter like Nico has, but my mic is so heavy, this thing was dropping down. I will not be using this mic for my video projects. Anyway, so Amazon, this was Friday. Shipping would have been here like on Tuesday for $5.99, or it said Sunday for $9.99 additional. So instead of $5.99 and getting on Tuesday or Wednesday, I think $9.99 to get it on Sunday. I said, you know what? I'm not going to risk it. Let me get it on Sunday. So I paid on Friday $9.99 to get it on Sunday. Well, I got it yesterday on Saturday. So I mean, how do you beat that? It was just fantastic. So, if I want anything new, I think I'm going to start shopping more on Amazon, because I've only used Amazon like maybe 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, they're a necessary evil at the moment, unfortunately. I'd like to not use them as much as possible because of I think Jeff Bezos is like a real life Batman villain. Where he's like, I'm getting all of the money and keeping it.
It's gonna take over the world.
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't get that far with him yet. I know somebody that briefly worked at one of the Amazon places and didn't like it. So
yeah, real slave labor.
Yeah, don't even use that term. I just got into it with the caretaking agency over on Friday, and that you think we can't, my caregivers aren't slaves. I'm like, since when is working 20 hours a week considered slavery? I don't get this. Anyway, you're catching. We were talking before you logged in. I no longer have any caregiving at all for my mother, at all, zero. They were, and I got to make some investigations tomorrow sometime. Got to take my mom to the doctor in the morning. I don't know how much time I'm going to have, but it's not looking promising. And, for those that don't know, I might as well say it. My mom took a turn for the worse this week. And on Monday, I had somebody watching her. My friend Holly was watching her, and I had to go. I did that food survey Monday and Tuesday. Well, Monday on the way back, she said, my mother didn't know who I was anymore. Didn't know she had a son, didn't know his name, showed her a picture of me. She didn't recall. And so it's getting, up and down. It's just it took a turn for the worse. So we got a doctor's appointment tomorrow, and, we'll see what's up. But that food tasting thing was Monday and Tuesday, the pasta sauce. And as a matter of fact, when I showed up Tuesday, they're like, would you be willing to do a one-on-one interview and be filmed or recorded? We'll give you an extra $10. I'm like, well, okay, why not? It's only going to take 10 minutes. So I did it. And I think because I was probably the only Italian, they wanted to hear my perspective on this. And I'm like, yep. And she was asking me all these questions. She says, so, you being Italian, all these great, wonderful sauces, tell me what, out of all of them that you can get, what is your favorite? I said, my favorite is actually by a Jewish man, Paul Newman. She laughed and said, yeah, I love Paul Newman Saccaroni sauce. That's my favorite sauce. Well, we call it gravy, but sauce. And then I add a little bit to it. And I says, and then Prego. I like the Prego sauce, but that was kind of interesting. But
so you were racially profiled.
Yes, I was. Okay, I'm good with it. Give me the $10. But so I spent all of that already on these parts supplies. They send me like an online gift card. So I made, I spent everything on just getting, like you do, Jason. You have to buy equipment and everything. So
the hardest equipment for a gym to buy for, I got three sets of kettlebells. I got a whole set of dumbbells and everything, and I got some those maces. I got 2 maces, a 7-pound and a 10-pound mace. A heavy bag of battle ropes. It took forever to get plates. Plates are like the hardest thing to find right now. It was weird. A friend of mine sent a message that some guy's getting some parts or some plates from a factory in Alabama, but these are plates that they're completely fine. There's nothing wrong with them, but they're not perfect. You know what I mean? Like Rogue, the Rogue fitness company factory sends them out. They're not exactly perfect. I'm like, I don't care. They're plates. Who gives a crap? This guy drives up in a U-Haul, him and his wife from Alabama, thick Alabama accent, It's the end of my jujitsu class. It's 8 p.m. This guy pulls up in a U-Haul. He's like, I'm here. Looks like some kind of shady deal, but I'm getting plates. This quick cash deal out. And I'm like, hey, by the way, I'm like, hey, man, you got any 5s and 2.5s back there? It's like, no, bro. No, bro. I'm like,
I feel bad that
5s and 2.5s.
I had all that shit. I had over 4,000 pounds of weights, and
Oh.
machines. You know that. You've been at my joint. I
Mhm.
lost I never got a dime out of anything. Other people got it, and I got nothing. My mats, everything. So it bothers me. That now I have to admit, hearing you getting these plates, that bothers me because I lost. That was my retirement. I figured I'd sell that shit. I could sell everything in there. And I took a lot. But Jason, if it's any consolation, it took me a while to get all that stuff over the course of time. I didn't buy it all at once.
Right.
Bought over the course of a couple of years or whatever, 3-4 years. Who knows? It was a while, but yeah, it's Nico, we started. Jason was coming to my gym when I would do my monthly seminars going back well over 3 years ago because he was coming to my gym. I haven't been at the gym. It's going to be 4 years in July.
Wow.
And then Nico came along after I'd already lost my gym, and Nico would be working out here at the house, in my house here, with Joe, or sometimes by himself, but with Joe. And then Nico started coming downtown to the Cheetah Gym, or not downtown, but to Andersonville, the Cheetah Gym, which even though he lives in Chicago, was actually quicker for him to go to the Cheetah Gym than to my house. And Nico's, I remember that time you popped his ankle, Jason, and we heard the loud pop.
I'm
Man,
just glad he was okay.
It sounded like an explosion.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
but it wasn't a serious injury. Thankfully, it wasn't really. You're okay.
Well, ever
next
since he
week.
got that replacement leg, he's been.
Well, you know what? And here's the problem. I don't know if you know this or not, but it's bionic. And instead of giving him Steve Austin's limb, they gave him Jamie Summers' limb. So he's got a female leg now. I don't know if that's good or bad.
It could be good.
Well, it's pretty sexy.
Yeah.
Just rub down your own leg once in a while.
At least that's one less thing he has to shave, right?
That's right.
Yes, yes.
I was thinking about being a leg model.
How are you doing with your workouts, Nico?
Good. Yeah, I was gonna tell Jason, I'm really bad on technology, but I wanted to make a meme for Jason, show a picture of a guy on crutches, and then put "body by Bender" over the top.
There you go.
I hate it when it happens when you're just trying to have a hard training session and then you hurt somebody and you're like, it's the worst.
Or like some idiot gouges another guy in the eye. Oh, I hate when that happens.
Yeah, I got you in the eye. Did I do that?
No,
too?
no, I got you.
Oh, you
You're
got
trying
me.
to do.
Okay.
I needed to post on your head and gave it the extra thumb.
You got
that's
Joe.
right.
You got Joe Dankowski too, Joe.
Was
Yeah,
that in the same day, right? In the same day, you got both of us in the eye.
It was
I love all my training partners equally, is what I'm trying to say. I don't want to favor one or the other. If I gouge one, I'm gouging the other.
You're like that movie with Sean Connery. What was it with Crimson? I don't know what it was with the finger. He beat those guys up with his one finger. Remember, it was some espionage movie.
Yeah, I remember that.
You
He was
guys
at a
know what
bar.
I'm
He's like,
talking
I can beat you up with one finger.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
that.
Was it his thumb or something? I forgot.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gone. Sean Connery passed, and somebody else just recently, like this past week, that I can't remember now, but they're all going. It's a shame, but we're
Jason-
still kicking.
Could I ask Jason a couple questions?
Go ahead.
Hey, when did you get started in martial arts? Did you start out with BJJ?
So, I've told this story in a couple other podcasts, but so I as a little kid watching Kung Fu theater with my dad on the couch, I just loved it. And then I loved pro wrestling and all that. So I would get martial arts books from the bookmobile. My hometown didn't have it. So I would try to study the books that I could get and practice, which isn't great training, but it does plant the seed for at least practicing stances and things like that. I got to tell you, it did help at least a little bit to understand it at minimum, what we're talking about. So when somebody shows me a technique, I'm like, hey, I know that technique at least. And I think it did help my training at least a little bit. Right. And then I would be able to take let's say karate lessons for a handful of weeks when a guy would move into the town that I lived in. and then he'd move out or whatever. So I think I've gotten a couple yellow belts, at least one or two yellow belts, in various karate, whatever. And fast forward, go to high school. There was the only thing around that I knew about was a karate school in the town next to us. And I didn't uh, say I didn't quite see eye to eye with that instructor. I didn't quite appreciate his style of training and everything and his attitude. So I didn't go over there much. Um, and then right after high school, I had just watched the first UFCs. That karate instructor asks my friend, who was a student of his, who was a black belt under him, in karate, said, "Hey, ask Bender if he wants to do an MMA fight. We're doing one in the old mall that's not even in the old gutted out mall in Fort Wayne. Yeah, it's not the good Fort Wayne mall. It's the bad one. But and I was like, hell yeah, why not? I'd never really fought much. I didn't even even the stupid little scuffles that I got into growing up, I didn't fare well. That's for sure. I was a skinny kid who was afraid to get hit. Who was afraid of who really I didn't think had like a good pain tolerance or anything, but there's time to step up, and I thought, what a better way is just to step into the fire, right? So I went out there and I fought a training partner or a student of Jason Godsey's, who Tony trained a long
Yeah,
time ago.
it's a good guy.
So did you ever meet a Tony Ross by chance? He was a tall, bald dude with a
Yes,
goatee.
yes.
Yeah, I fought him, and I socked him a few times at the beginning. Everything. I don't really remember it. Things went blank immediately. They broke us up because his nose was bleeding, and then I thought they were saying the fight was over. They come back over. Back then, I had zero cardio, like zero. All I used to do was I used to just lift like power lifting, bodybuilding kind of style of weightlifting. I used to, that was the only thing I could do around my hometown. And then the referee comes over and he's like, "Let's go, get back to it. He's fine." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not. I'm shot." And then so we went to the ground, whatever. And then at one point we stood back up. He socked me, and I just turned around because I was exhausted, and he just hit me from behind. But turning your back in a fight is you're giving up. So referee thankfully stepped in, because if he would have just letting me, probably would have killed me, because I just turned my back completely. And that was right then I was obsessed. I was like, well, this isn't that bad. That guy was actually a trained fighter, and don't get me wrong, he hit me, but I was like, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought. And so I go to college, and then in college I was training as much as I could for a guy that was working 3 jobs and going to college, taking his studies pretty seriously for the first part of college. I would train Muay Thai, and we trained jujitsu with someone who got a blue belt at a Hoist Gracie seminar. So it was pretty minimal grappling, but still, grappling is grappling. And the people that I was grappling with were martial artists. They were, people that were serious Muay Thai. They were people that trained Muay Thai pretty seriously, and Taekwondo black belts in a style of like, my instructor was like, that was some hard, still to this day, some of the hardest sparring training was above this barber shop in Fremont, Ohio. And I got my first time I got my nose busted wide open was there, gotten kicked right in the face. It was awesome. Still to this day, some of the hardest training I've ever had. This just not, you would look at Mr. Hess and not think anything, skinny guy, but he just was a great coach. Still is. I still teaching. I look him up on every once in a while. I try to give him a call every handful of years. And now that I've opened up the school, I think I'm going to give him a call again, because I was training and I would fight in MMA fights, lose, win one once in a while, but not do super good. But I was doing well enough that I was like, God, I'm not even training with proper people. Like, I don't have a proper jujitsu coach, and I'm losing by a submission here, or I would win by what I would figure is like shitty ground and pound. I'm like, I'm not a good wrestler, and then as college went on, I started to get hooked into partying a little bit. So I would train really hard, but I also liked, and I was partying more than I should. Fast forward, I find out that Carlson Sr. is in Chicago, and Shoney Carter. I really liked the way Shoney fought, and that he was right in Chicago. And my girlfriend at the time got accepted to UIC. Boom, just moved over here, dropped out of college with like a year and a half, maybe 2 years of college left to get my degree. I just dropped out and came here. And then ever since then, I trained at with the Carlson Gracie team, and I would go through spurts of training with the folks here and there at other places. Like I spent a good handful of months with the Shidokan guys there with Shoney Carter, and hard training under Wayne Gregory, who's a hell of a boxing coach. He has a place out in the burbs. Tough training there. Learned a lot from him. And yeah, and then when I was in Chicago training under Carlson Sr., and those guys, you would find out that folks were, there was a boxing team there, Coach Joe Kane.
Oh, I know Joe Kane. I was just going to ask you about him. He's a good guy.
Coach Joe's great. Love Coach Joe. Real old school style of boxing.
Yeah.
Taught me a lot of great fundamentals. I would box under him. Boxed on the Golden Gloves once. Won my first match. Came back the next week. Barely lost my second match, but it is what it is. I still kind of want to do the Golden Gloves, not next year, but maybe the year after that, because they have a Veterans League now. And I'm like, I'll be really in a real good shape 40. So not next year, but the year after 44. So hey, why not? Why not do one more time before I get too old? But yeah, then that's how I met Costa, our friend Costa here. So Costa trained under Tony, and he's in a lot of Tony's videos. Costa was a blue belt at Carlson Seniors, and we trained together a lot. And I found out he did Muay Thai back in Greece, and we started training together. Found out that we're both morons and have the same sense of humor, which is scary. And we became friends instantly. He kept talking about training catch wrestling with, because he would do unorthodox things that jiu-jitsu guys don't do. And he was telling me about these other things, and that you guys would do heel hooks and all this. And I'm like, show me. And he would tell me about this super flexible hobbit named Javier that could put his legs behind his head. And then I met, I would train with Brian Deneve, who trained under you, and Martin.
Oh, you knew all the guys, the old guys.
Yeah. We used to train at the gym that I worked at, Crunch. So I would train at Carlson's Jiu-Jitsu, and I would like maybe go to Shidokan to take kickboxing. But then at Crunch, I would just get whatever guys wanted to do, whatever training, and just have fun. And it was Costa and Martin, Bruce Lee, our friend Bruce, who's in a lot of Tony's videos.
Yeah, he's great.
But yeah.
We got to get some of those guys on here too. Costa, Bruce, Martin, all of them. Brian. I got an interesting, I think it was Crunch. Costa was a personal trainer there.
I got him the job there.
Huh?
I got him his job there.
What? Well, he put me down too as I know you did. Well, but he put my name down as a, what do you call that?
Reference.
Yeah. I studied fitness and with him and da. So then Costa tells me, you should really get a job down here training, coaching, I said, okay. So I applied and I got denied. I'm like, wait a minute, how can he get the gig and I didn't get it? What's up with this? It's kind of weird. But yeah, oh well. But yeah, Costa, yeah, it's a shame that he has a real bad back, and it would go out on him. And I just wish that I could have spent more time with Costa as well, because he was good, very, very good.
Yep.
It's just the consistency of training. People have, especially back then, we're talking 15, 20 years ago, roughly, 15 at least. Times were different, and people were trying to fit this in their life schedule, like Brian Deneve, awesome. And then he had, life gets in the way, he was going to school, he had to work, and was, hard for him to even keep his head above water and just, keeping his head, focus and everything. And it was tough. And, the sad part is by the time I opened up the gym in Bensonville, they were all gone. Everybody had gone their own separate ways. And I think Costa was only at my place maybe a couple times, 3-4 times tops, maybe. Martin, I think once, and I don't even know if he worked out. Brian, Brian may have come once or twice. That's it. They all move away. And that, that's unfortunate. But yeah, what a bunch of great guys,
Yeah, I'm still in touch with, some more than others. Like, I actually stayed at Costa's house, like here the fall right before the pandemic. So last year,
Mhm.
I went to Denver to go see a concert, go see my favorite band there, and stay with another buddy that lives there. And then I ended up staying at Costa and Amy's house 2 nights, but they got a real nice house on the there in Boulder. And it was funny. He says, "Hey man, I got a bicycle in the garage. You can just feel free. You can ride down there, and there's a shopping center, whatever. If you want to go get lunch and all that stuff, do whatever you want to do." Weather was beautiful. I hop on this bike. I get it's a since it's Colorado, his driveway's on like a hill to get out of the housing complex, and I start going to the little shopping center. It's probably a mile away. All of a sudden, I'm like, this thing has like no brakes. And then by the time I go to I'm like, screw it, I can figure it out. I just won't go fast. I can ride with no brakes. I come back, and the fender on the back is fall, and the tires are almost are barely have enough air to ride in. By the time I get back to his house, the fender is falling off the back, and I'm like, is he? I think he tried to murder me. I think he wanted to see if I would ride this shitty bike into traffic and finally get rid of me out of his life.
Hold on a second. I just heard a thud.
Oh,
Is everybody all right up there? Okay. There was a big thud. I just wanted to make. My mom fell,
yeah.
and her back has been bad all week. Like, so again, Monday. Well, I have Holly up here watching her right now, so I'm all good with that. But yeah, I just heard that thud. Sorry to interrupt your story.
That's okay.
Yeah. But yeah, Costa is a gem. He's got a lot of skill, a lot of and I think Costa, a blend of Costa and Brian Deneve, kind of is how I used to. I wrestled a little bit more. I mean, I was faster, so and Brian was quick, and then but yet Costa boy, he loves that double wrist lock. Last time I saw him, that's what he was going for. He was on that double wrist lock kick. Yeah, he was just. He really helped me out in the snap no tap because I was in shambles physically, man. My labrum tore my bicep, broke my collarbone, and broke my hip. I had all that broken while I filmed that thing.
A
And
great video of you putting him to sleep.
yeah, right. I still get thank you cards from his wife for that. Yeah, he's great. And when we did a brief little wrestling thing in there, and I told him, I said, we're going live. Nothing was scripted. We never scripted anything. Basically, whenever I film anything, right before the scene, I'll tell the guy who's ever filming me, okay, this is going to be on the feeder. We're going to be in the ground. We're going to just be in this general area, just so the cameraman can, know where to go. But it was funny when we filmed that in Boulder, as a matter of fact, but he wasn't living there then. He was living here. They had scripts and notes on the wall on poster boards from previous, they call them authors, previous guys that did stuff. And the one guy, Dave, who filmed us, Dave Dubrow, he's a really great guy. He moved to Florida. He's like, okay, you got notes or anything? I said, nope. Let's go. This is how I do it. Let's go. And unlike the the Lost Art of Hooking, and this is not a complaint, this is just a difference. In the Lost Art of Hooking, we just kept going. Every scene we just stopped and maybe have a sip of water and go. Well, with the Snap No Tap series, Paladin, they would film the scene and then they would replay it to make sure that everything was fine in the editing or whatever, or not in the editing, but in the film. So that slowed us down. And I'm the type of guy that I got to have that momentum. Once it's going, let's just keep going. Go, 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 go. But ironically, in both the Lost Art of Hooking and the Snap No Tap, I never got to film everything that I was hoping to. There was just, you just run out of time. No, but
So
I miss.
I wanted to, sorry to interrupt you. I
Yeah.
was one of the things I wanted to ask you. Okay.
What?
So let's say you get to build somebody. This person comes in, he's let's say he or she 16, 17 years old. They're already in pretty good shape. Let's say they're just, a fit young person, and you have the chance to do whatever you can. This person's obsessed. This person's only goal is to be the best fighter alive in any said realm of rule set you want to give them. As the less rules, the better. But right now what we have is the gold standard. Unfortunately, is the UFC. It is what it is. Has its good and its bads. I disagree with a lot of the rules though. The 12-6 elbow is a stupid rule. Things like that. Um, I hate rounds. I don't think there should be rounds. I think you should just fight until somebody wins. Things like that. I hate stand ups. If you can't get up, then the fight should go on from there. The grappling should dictate whether or not that fight stands back up, not just because 10,000 drunk people who don't train are going stand them up. I hate that. So, but it is what it is. So this person has no martial arts skill coming in. Do you start with what's the first techniques to show them? Do you get them good at defense first so they feel good, or do you get them a base offense first? Wrestling, or what are we looking at?
No training at all. Okay. So ideally, I try to expose them as soon as possible to both physical and psychological pain. Okay. That means rough them up, don't injure them. Okay. There's a difference between, pain and injury, but because no matter how fit they are, most of the time people don't expose themselves to the kind of physical torture that you can go through, and psychologically as well. Especially now, it seems a lot of people are in this world of, blowing them up, compliments constantly. And, they need a dose of reality. And also in a real life situation, or even in a combat situation like UFC or whatever, boxing, we all know what it's like. Your opponent's trash talking, you talking shit. You got to get used to that. As far as technique goes, I start them with the fundamentals, and I do try to balance it, Jason, some offense and some defense. So footwork, stance, footwork, movement, make sure that they're not klutzy, because some people just don't have that. They don't, they may be strong, but they can't move right. And watching them, how they breathe. Okay. Because if they're big and strong, they may be lifting weights, let's say, which doesn't take, it takes X amount of time to, not long to do a set. Whereas, how we are, this can go for a while. So I watch their breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, make sure they're breathing properly. And this, with me, I was started with the conditioning, because I had already been boxing, but this was a wrestling. It's a different kind of conditioning. But yeah, I do try to balance it, and everyone's different. You know that. You're a great coach. Some people you can push harder than others. Some you kind of have to soft sell it. Back then when Cardinal started training with me 20 years ago, I was training them a lot like how I was, yelling at them and, breaking them down, to let them know that, hey, blah, blah, blah. And, they were good with it. A lot of other people through the years just can't, oh my God, he's offended me. So you kind of have to lighten up a little and, but yeah, I start everybody with footwork, stance, movement, footwork, keep your hands up, keep your chin down, watch your hips. As you know, well, judo and jiu-jitsu is a little, let's put that to the side for a moment, but boxing, Thai boxing, even in wrestling have so many similarities with the way their movement is, footwork and stuff. And so I really focus on that, because then you're killing almost 3 birds with 1 stone. Because it's more of a, those are well, not the wrestling so much, but it's the boxing and the Thai boxing or whatever, is striking arts. And even with the wrestling, with the reaching and the grabbing, and the cupping of the head, you can look at it almost like a strike. So your footwork, your movements are kind of similar, just with a little bit of variation. But then I just wish, I like to teach the striking. I like to focus on that before anything, before the grappling, because it's so important, especially in a street scenario, real life scenario. Whereas guys like Costa and all of those guys 20 years ago, they didn't get into that. They didn't want to learn that, because the grappling craze was just starting 25 years ago. 1993 is when the UFC came out. So that's 27 years ago. So some of these guys started training with me right around then, maybe a few years afterwards, but and I think the biggest mistake, and I've said this a million times, was the lost art of hooking pigeonholed me into being just a grappler. And I wanted to strike. I kind of talked a little bit about it, but this is getting to your point where all of this is blended in with me, the striking and all of that kind of stuff. And I just wish that, and another thing I didn't like, the producer kind of wanted me to be controversial. He kind of wanted me to bash jujitsu when I was filming that video, and I didn't want to do that. But he's paying me to get out. I got to do what I'm told. To kind of emphasize the differences. And you mentioned you don't want rounds in the UFC and this and that. Well, it kind of ties into all this. It's marketing. UFC was dying. It was going to go belly up from what I heard because of that ground fight. It was boring. People are clinging, holding on. So they brought in a new organization apparently, and they made it more, action packed, I guess. And I'm kind of with you on it. I think it's by no means like an all in type of fight. There's rules more now than I think there ever was,
Yeah.
I'm with you guys about that. As far as like what Jason said about, the crowd, a lot of them know nothing about what they're seeing and they just want to see blood and violence. And for me, that just ruins it. I don't even want to go to any MMA events because of the crowd. They kind of disgust me.
Well, I had trained Shoney, and when he was fighting, and I kind of lost interest. I lost interest in the UFC because it just wasn't in. I didn't think at that time, technically they weren't doing anything that I thought was worthy of where they were at, generally speaking. This is not everybody, but I'm just saying overall. So then years go by, and I trained another guy who was in the UFC. I'm not going to mention names. And he was at my gym. He's sparring, and he's doing his thing. And then afterwards, after he was done, I said, okay, well, when you were doing this is what I think you should have done. And he goes, nope, can't do that. I'm like, what do you mean you can't? He's like, it's against the rules. I'm like, what? And then they wrestled some more. And then I threw in another thing. Well, I think you should do this. Nope. I'm like, don't tell me. He's like, no, it's against the rules. I'm like, Jesus, how many rules do you have in this UFC thing now? So it's gotten, I get it. It's all about safety and it's about, whatever it is. And that's fine if it's marketed that way. But, when you got, the word ultimate in it, I kind of take offense to that because there's so many techniques that can be done that can change the outcome of a fight, Jason, as you know, and the strategy of the fight, and a lot of guys, not even in the UFC, but in other sports as well, utilize the rules to their advantage. They'll play to the rules as opposed to maybe trying to take out their opponent. They'll play the rules to their benefit. Got to give them credit. Shrewd fighters, shrewd coaching, and there's a place for that. There certainly is, as is apparent, because the UFC is highly popular. But Nico, yourself, and me, we're not into that. We're into, more open. Let's keep it going. And I agree with you, Jason, with the grappling, as long as it's just not two guys purposely laying there, because I remember that one fight, Severn and Ken Shamrock, it was pathetic when they were going 10, 12, 15 minutes circling each other and doing nothing. I think that was like a big wake up call to like, hey, we got to.
Now, don't get me wrong. I don't mind I don't want to be that old MMA fan that says Pride was better, but the Pride organization had the yellow card, and if you purposely stalled, then they would give you a yellow card, and at a certain point, it's they would take part of your purse or something like that. And I liked that was great, I don't mind them doing things like that to encourage action.
Yeah.
But you don't have to stand them up. You're just going to say you have a yellow card for stalling. They don't even. If I remember correctly, they didn't stand them back up even. They would. I
don't recall.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but I like where they're just like, fine, if you want to win this way, we're going to take some of your money, but we're not going to necessarily stand you back up. So
well, in wrestling, you have stalling. In boxing, right. the ref will break you up. So yeah, there's ways around it. I had given my thoughts on on how a system should have been before years ago, and nobody wanted to listen to what I had to say. Oh, okay, that's fine, but they're yeah. I just think marketing is a big thing, and that's one thing that I'm not good at. I'm not a marketing guy at all, man. I'm like less than a yellow belt. I'm like a dingy belt when it comes to marketing, man. I mean, I had no clue, and I trained with this Tom Antion. He taught me some marketing stuff, and and I'm proud to say I'm his worst student he ever had. I don't know shit about it. So they're doing something right. They're marketing to what the masses want, and guys like us, we may be, in the minority. I don't think we're like the only three in the world that think like this. I'm sure there's a lot of us that think like this, but I really don't have the answers to it. But I do know this, that I, in my mind, when I used to watch these fights, or even now when I see some of them clips, I'm like, man, there's just nope. You can do this. You could do this. You could do this. You could do this. I just see it, And Lou Thez and I, when Lou was alive, we got together and we watched one. I was down there in Orlando visiting him, and we got to watch a UFC event, and we were just shaking our heads at all the, at the missed opportunities. Now, granted, this is almost 20 years ago, and people evolve and talent changes, but still, it was like,
There's some pretty amazing athletes there in the UFC now, though.
oh yeah,
It has definitely. I think you'd be more impressed now, for sure. It's. I mean, there's a young man right now who's a champion, Israel Adesanya, and the guy fights like he's like moves that you would see in movies and go, yeah, sure, spinning kicks and all this stuff. This kid pulls them off. He is amazing. He's a pretty Israel Adesanya. If you get a
awesome.
chance to,
Yeah, I
he's
can.
amazing.
Sure. I just, what, with my focus has always been from the very beginning has been self-defense, a street, whatever, however you want to label it. That's what I liked, because, certain things that you do, can slow down anybody. Uh, and that's another thing when you're talking about beginner students, especially when they haven't seen what we're capable of doing. It's not on video. There's nobody else in the world doing it at our level. They don't know. And I think they have to kind of be exposed to it without crippling them, or scaring them off, because they have no outlet. Like you just mentioned Israel. So if somebody's into the UFC and like, whatever, what's the pinnacle of that? Well, you could say, well, look this guy up, right? Well, you can't do that with us. All right. You can't. So that's the biggest challenge. And I was just talking via Zoom with two wonderful people yesterday in Canada, a father and son, that I do the Tri-C program with. And, I just wanted to Zoom just to talk to them, just to see how they're doing and all of that. And the father, Dustin, he mentioned, well, Tony, you said such and such, and that really resonated with me. And that's the way that I try to reach people, is through getting them to think outside of the box, because ultimately you're the instructor of yourself. You're the teacher to yourself. You gotta start using your brain and your mind and your creativity, and not be like an automaton, like everyone's the same. No, we're all different. So I think that's the biggest challenge. And for me, when I was young, it was the fact that I was afraid to get killed, because I had a lot of run-ins and bad situations, and so did family members and friends and everything. And I just didn't want to die. And that was my motivation. And I believed in my coach. I knew what he said was true. And the things that he told me and the way he said it, led me to believe I will be the toughest man on planet Earth and never have to fear ever again any situation if I follow what he says. And it reached me. It was, it got me. It got me to, and he's like, the alternative is, there'll be another. I was an altar boy in church, and he says the alternative is, one of your friends is gonna be the altar boy at your funeral. Okay, and bam. I mean, that's like, wow. Now there may be hyperbole there. I didn't look at it that way. I believed it, and I still believe it, and I know it to be true. It saved me. So, and I'm not bashing UFC. I'm talking about back then. I think it's very excellent. I just don't like the fact that there are things that you cannot do that aren't allowed that could honestly change the outcome of the game. But it's just like football. You know, if when I play football as a receiver, all if a ball was thrown to me, you know, all the defensive back or the cornerback or the safety had to do was literally tackle me to the ground before the ball arrived. Okay. And I would never be able to catch a pass. Nobody would. So the rule is implemented, pass interference. The rule is there to create action. I get it.
Yeah,
So,
right.
you know, I have no problem with it. It's, you know, I just know that there's another level there. There's another
Right.
thing out there, you know.
Watched a documentary last night. I'm sure you would like to see if you have Showtime. Is the Hector Camacho documentary? It just came out on Showtime last night. It was amazing.
Now I don't have Showtime, but Hector was, you know, another champion fighter, just from my era, you know, when I was young, you know, yeah.
So fast.
Oh, hell yeah. You know, very, very fast. You know, the like Sugar Ray Leonard, Howard Davis, these guys had, you know, hand speed, you know. Uh, then again, you had like, I watched a couple weeks ago the first round of the Hagler Hearns fight. They had the first round up on the internet. What a unbelievable round of boxing that was, man. Opening bell, and they were going at it like full blast.
Got to
I
ask
don't
you,
see.
Coach. So they said one of the things that made Hector Camacho different is that he would jab. He wouldn't turn his jab over. His jab was just a straight out, like a pistol jab, right?
Mhm.
Instead of turning it over. What are your? Is it just? Is this one of those? It depends things, or are you saying? Because I've heard almost nothing but turn your jab
Yeah,
over ever.
right. Me too. Well, no, but when you go this way, you get a little more distance. Okay, it actually turning your wrist kind of shortens it. Shortens your reach. Um, and it depends on, you got to watch. I mean, if he's going to land, how's he going to land? You know, you don't want to land on your pinky. You got to be careful
Right.
that you don't land here, you know, and here's fine, but then you got to watch that you don't jam up your wrist too. Yeah, those straight punches, people have done that, but I was always taught, and I am a strong believer of turning your wrist. And if you look at the snap no tap, there's a point where I show on a hook, when you hook like this, or when you hook like this, you're stronger when you hook like this. Okay, when your fist is like this. And we demonstrated, I believe I demonstrated it with either Costa or Jeff Goldstein, trying to push my arm down, or I push his down. I forget which way we did it, but you're weaker this way and you're stronger this way, you know, because you're engaging your bicep and you can get your body going. So there's some of that going on. When you throw a straight punch like this, you can probably have a locked arm, but the problem is you can't. See if I can do this sideways. So if I'm throwing a jab like this, my jaw, this is going to be open. Whereas if I got to move this mic. If I turn it, see, I'm covering that, so I'm not getting countered. Now I don't jab with my right hand. I obviously use my left, but yeah. So you got some protection there. Where this, I'd have to punch upwards to be able to block myself. Whereas here I can just roll it. So that's how I've always done it. That's how I'm going to continue to do it. And there's nothing you're going to do that's going to make me. I'm joking, but yeah, that's just my take on it. What is your take, Jason?
Well, like I said, I mean, I'm very much, you know, I trained under quite a few different coaches. I'm obsessed with watching instructional videos of people that are reputable and things like that. And then, you know, and of course, you'll find major overlap. You know, you watch the world's best Muay Thai instructor, then you watch the world's best boxing instructor. Again, the rules are going to make certain things different. I'm watching Teddy Atlas's boxing instructional, and this instructional is for people who have never even boxed before. But I got to tell you, I love Teddy Atlas so much that I'll spend the time and watch that man teach a jab, and just not I might not necessarily learn anything new, but I love listening to that man talk. He's so full of passion. He's just one of the best boxing minds, right? And but their slip is way too low, wouldn't you say, for a street situation or any situation where a kick could come involved or any kind of grappling situation to get snapped down, right? Like,
Absolutely. And
yeah,
like
the
the duck,
boxing slip, and like, boxing is widely worshipped as overwhelmingly the tied for number one best striking art, right? You want the world's best boxer is gonna give the rough Muay Thai champ a rough way to go until the kicks are, depending on the
yeah, the
kick,
kick. And again, let me just interject that it isn't fair because now
No.
the Thai guy has 4 weapons
Right.
offensively, the boxer doesn't. So if the boxer's able to hang in there,
Right.
kudos to him. But again, yes,
But
and when I
yeah,
teach,
for each, I should have clarified. What I meant was, if a Muay Thai guy had to box a Muay Thai world champion at 115, straight up boxing the boxing 115 champ, the Muay Thai guy is going to get lit up like a Christmas tree. But of course, add the kicks in.
the
That's what I
kicks
meant.
change it.
Yeah, that's what
Absolutely.
I meant to say.
So you got to, you got to have enough time. I was just talking to the father and son yesterday, Billy and Dustin from Canada, about this. You have to put the time and effort in, years of, let's use boxing, for example, years of boxing to be able to say, okay, now I'm capable of knowing what's going to work and what's not going to work in another scenario. If you have 6 months of boxing or whatever, jiu-jitsu, judo, wrestling, it don't matter. You don't have the knowledge to be able to start cherry picking techniques and develop a system. You don't know enough. And that's anybody, me, you, whoever, but boxing by and large to me, anti, I would think if you just, and it's not as simple as just adding in Thai kicks. We know that there's a lot more to it, but I do want to say this. I was taught by old time boxers, World War II types. Boxers knew elbows. Boxers knew forearms. Boxers knew how to hit with their shoulder.
yeah.
Believe me. A lot of people
Right.
don't know that. So, yeah, I'll still stick with my boxing, but I don't slip. I've talked about this. That, like, let's say this is the punch. I just want to move that much. I don't do a lot. I do a lot of horizontal slips. I don't do a lot of, bending and and coming under like you do. And conversely, wrestlers, you take a shot on somebody, and you're not smart, you'll get a knee to the face, and that's happens. There was was it Mark Coleman? There was somebody. I don't want to poison somebody's mind. I don't remember who it was, but it was a high level wrestler that got knocked out cold, I thought, from a knee.
That was Ben Askren recently.
No, not recent.
Terry Martin was one of them.
There's another one. Yeah, there's been a good handful, Coach.
Okay, there you go.
Mark
So
Coleman got his head kicked into by Pete Williams. So that happened. Mark Coleman got the head kick from Pete Williams.
I remember that. Yeah, I thought Coleman, if I can recall, Coleman was pretty gassed out. But yeah, but you get the point.
He was. Mm-hmm.
Anything can, so like any art, boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, it doesn't matter. The minute you go on the offense, you're vulnerable. When you get out of your turtle shell, and you have to eventually, you got to be offensive. You can be countered. Every opening can be countered. So it's like, I was taught as a kid, one of my boxing coaches, it was like opening the door. If there's a mad dog outside, you have to leave your house. The minute you open the door, there's a chance that dog can get in. So you want to get out of that door as quickly and as safely as possible. Close that door behind you. And that's how it is with fighting. Whatever it is, boxing or wrestling-ish, jiu-jitsu, grappling, boxing and grappling, whatever your offensive move is, you've got to get back to your safe zone as quickly as possible. And I see a lot of errors with that. I see guys like maybe they'll throw a punch and then they'll drop their hand, or they'll bring it back, but then they'll linger and they're wide open. They're easy to counter. So that's what I mean, that's just big, to me, big vulnerability. I don't like that. So I try to teach people about safe zones when they're fighting, even on the ground. If you're in trouble and the guy on top of you is doing all sorts of shit, or the guy in the bottom is doing all sorts of stuff, get to a safe zone, get to a neutral place where you can hit the reset button and start fresh, and that's another thing, getting back to your UFC and the standing up when they're on the ground. Yeah. I think that if wrestlers or grapplers would start understanding, the safety zones, where they are, where there's a place on the ground where you're completely safe. Okay. You're not going to get hit. worth anything. You're not going to get submitted. As long as you have a path back to that safe zone, you can start doing things. You can become very offensive and try things. And, even if you blow it, as long as you get back to that neutral zone, as long as you don't close the door behind you, you can't get back to your neutral zone, you'll be okay. And my point is, you can try a lot of risky things that way, knowing you have a get out of jail free card. I
Okay,
shouldn't say
last
jail
question.
around Nico.
Last question, then I gotta get off here. Groin shots and self-defense scenarios, overrated or not?
Not
Not?
overrated.
Okay.
I've seen them. I've accidentally in training got hit. You know how that is. No, I think though they're not overrated. However, the applications are overrated. I think people just think that that's a easy target. I can easily get there, and this and that, and that's not the case. I mean, sometimes reaching, you leave yourself very vulnerable, to get countered, to get knocked out or to get manipulated in some way or another. I definitely believe there's a place for it. I just don't believe you base a fighting system around groin shots.
Right.
I don't. I see, like, I hate to say this, but how can I word this without becoming? There's like self-defense classes, that they'll teach you like a quick course, like a
Hmm.
3-hour course, and it's all about you need somebody in the groin or this or that. It's not that simple. You know that, Jason. You know that as well as anybody.
Right.
And
That's,
I don't.
I
I
just
don't.
say
I don't.
almost inevitably that's one of the first things anybody you ever teach a martial arts lesson to. Well, why wouldn't I just hit him in the groin? And I'm like, sure. Again, just like, and I say exactly what you're saying, coach, is, are you going to be able to do that when I'm doing whatever I'm doing to you, et cetera, et cetera? And are you leaving yourself vulnerable? And you got to take a lot of things into account if you're going to do that.
Absolutely. And I said this years and years ago when guys were talking about, uh, for lack of a better term, like pressure points or something. That is not an excuse for learning how to wrestle. Your pressure point, it's not going to work on me, or it's not going to work on you, because we're just going to tie you up. But once we have control over you, then you can use the groin strikes or the rips and things like that. So yeah, you and I are on the same page. I've seen people try to do the groin strikes, the groin kicks, and they just get knocked to the ground.
Right.
It just doesn't work.
But I'm guaranteed if you know how to do them and you trained them. One of my favorite training partners ever is one of my judo and jiu-jitsu training partners. He's from an old school style of karate, and he says when we would spar, it was the groin was not a red area, it was green, and you better defend against it. And he goes, you got to be. And so part of me is terrified to ever do that. One, to not even so much to take it, but to like give it also. Like the people I train with,
Yeah.
I'm like, kick them in the groin, but then but you're like, God, you're getting yourself ready for a real life situation. Have you defended against someone trying to kick you straight in the groin? Part of me goes, but do I need to train against that? When somebody's doing an inner thigh kick to me in Muay Thai, it's a similar motion, that kind of thing. Teep kicks,
Yeah.
it's very similar. So
Jabs.
I don't think I necessarily need to incorporate the risk of having my testicles removed in a training match to find out whether or not I can block a groin kick.
Well, the only advice I could tell people, and I mentioned this on a snap video, I don't normally kick with my to the groin. I won't use my instep because there's a chance of missing. I try to get in there with my shin, and there, even so, if the guy kind of tries to back up, he's going to get it. And it also makes me, I'm in close. So you can do it from a grappling situation, almost either you can do it from a tie up or close to a tie up. So the chance of him countering me is a little less severe. So I like, that's just my way. And getting hit with the shin is never pleasant, but I tell you something, Jason, it was an honor. I know you got to roll. We're going to stick it around for just a few more minutes, us guys, and then we're going to sign off. But I want to tell you something. And I got watching you the way you coach, because I get there when I was training you at your gym, I'd get there before, obviously, and you'd be working with all people. It didn't matter if it was children. It didn't matter if it was women. It didn't matter if it was guys, grown adults. You and Bruce Lee on my Lost Art of Hooking have this ability to coach and to talk to people and reach people that I've never seen before. You know, you guys are at a level that, and especially the way you are, Jason, because Bruce can be, you know, Bruce was, you know, he's intimidating looking, you know, at least when I knew him, he was like, you know, back then he was like, you know,
the barrel with arms.
oh my goodness. And you know, you're an average guy, you know, decent, you know, guy, and just a wonderful person, sensitive. And I can tell everybody out there, if you want a coach that doesn't want to just teach you, but that actually wants to care about you and love you as a member of his family, you're not, to my knowledge, going to find anybody better than Jason Bender. And your skills, Jason, you're your own worst enemy. You don't give yourself enough credit, and you know that. You are phenomenal, and you're constantly wanting to learn more and more and more. How can you not love a guy like that? I mean, that just, you're the epitome of what this whole environment should be about. You know, just you're in a class by yourself, man. That's all I can tell you.
Thanks, means a lot, Coach. You know, I just had a lot of people to look up to along the way, and always appreciate training with you and the guys I've trained with. You know, like we mentioned a lot of great people, and that's been the big thing. Is I try to take the best of people I meet and try to get rid of the worst of what nature tries to give us in ourselves as far as selfish and being selfish. We always want to naturally be selfish people, and you know, being nice is an active role. You know, people need to realize that it's not easy. You know, people think I'm the nicest guy, and sometimes it's a real challenge, you know, to be nice to a lot of people, you know.
Yeah,
But
I can't.
In the end, it's really worth it, you know. And I fail all the time. I screw up, you know. I mess up on the daily. I'll say something stupid, you know. But I really do try to go about this planet and try to help people out. And I want to help out anybody I run across. You know, if you share the mats with me, whether or not we're working out together or whether or not I'm training you, I hope that's an hour that makes your week better. You know, and that's kind of and honestly, it's a little selfish. It's a little bit of the guy who's an only child who just selfishly wants you to go, I had so much fun with him. Part of, you know, a lot of it's for me. You know, it's not. You know, making other people have fun is a way for me to be the center of attention.
Well, you didn't make my week better. You've made my life better, and it's been
Thanks,
my
Coach.
honor to know you. And let's, you know, I'll see you shortly, man. It won't be that much longer.
No,
So
no,
you
no.
better get your.
I do have an idea for a show though. If we can do it, I'd like to throw it out there. And if we can't do it, but it'd be really cool to Joe, if I can have a list of videos, either I can share screen them, or you can, or whatever, however we do it. But I'd love to have Coach look at some of the best grapplers
Yeah.
right now and see what he thinks, and watch some moves that are like very jujitsu oriented. There's some, you know, there's a style of taking someone's back right now that I'd be highly interested to see what you would think. And even though I know you're like, that's total sport, that if you could put that lens on it, if you wouldn't mind, that's, you
Sure,
know,
I'd love to do it. It'd be
yeah,
great.
yeah. So we could watch some cool video together and go over martial arts technique and
Work it
maybe
out with
go
Joe, the
over.
technical aspect of it, and then I'm in.
Should be pretty easy.
Well, you take it easy, and we will email or text Joe your you know, contact info for your gym, so Joe can put that up on the YouTube link.
Right
And for
on.
people who are listening, like who may want to reach out to you, what should they do? How do they find you?
BenderMartialArts.com. BENDER. Bender, like depends on your age. You could either say Judd Nelson's character from The Breakfast Club, or there's the younger generation that's not quite younger anymore, is the Futurama generation, that's Bender the Robot. But BenderMartialArts.com. And
How about the alcoholic, the one on a weekend bender or a week-long bender?
yeah, that one too. The funny thing is, back
Yeah,
in
if you're
my
one of
partying
Tony's
days-
friends and you want to look up Jason, that's what you need to think of.
exactly.
Yeah, Tony'sFriends.com. It redirects to Bender Martial Arts. Yeah. All right, J-Dog, man, we'll be in touch real soon.
All right, Nico, Joe, great to see you guys.
Great to see you,
Great
Jason.
talking to
Thank
you,
you.
man.
All right, take care, guys. Thanks. Sorry I can't stick around a little longer, but see you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Love you
Bye.
guys.
Love you too. See what now? See, this is the type of people that everybody needs in their life. Jason is like you two guys, just wonderful, kind, and is willing to help, wants to help, feels obligated to help, and feels bad when he can't help. I wish there's, you know, just a lot more people like that, you know. and I mean it sincerely. I'm a better person for knowing guys like him and you two, and everyone. I don't like to have riffraff in my life. I like quality people, man. And he's is there's about as good as it gets, man. I'll tell you that right now. But
Well, it's good. It's good to see him kind of moving along because we saw him when he was, had his other gym. Just see him build his business over time is kind of is a cool thing to see. Kind of the entrepreneurial spirit and seeing good guys move forward. Getting a group of students and seeing him help other people. It's just kind of cool to witness that as it happens.
yeah, he was getting pretty stressed over there at the other place. And of course, you and I and Nico, we weren't really privy to, it's none of our business, what his relationship was over there. Didn't need to ask. All I needed to know is that he wasn't fully happy and he wanted his own place. I'm glad he got it, you know. And it's funny that you mentioned Joe Kane, the boxing instructor, because Joe and I were supposed to get a place. Me, Joe, and then Vince, my friend Vince, was going to open up a joint. This is when I still had my gym in Chicago. I was going to do like a satellite thing in the city. And I said, I can start taking equipment from Chicago, from Bensonville, and bring it to the Chicago gym, but we never could, Vince couldn't find a location. That he was going to do that. He was going to find the location and get that going. And then Joe and I were going to teach out of that place. And it just, unfortunately, never panned out. Like a lot of things, it's, I think sometimes people don't know how everything sounds simple on paper, and it just isn't when there's other things involved or other people. So I'm glad. It sounds like Jason got a really good deal financially on this gym and everything. And, that's tough in the city of Chicago, boy. So he must have really gotten a sweetheart deal, and he deserves it. I just wish him the best. And who knows, maybe we can start, once this blows over, we could start, holding seminars there again,
Oh, that's a must. We
Yeah, that
definitely have
once
to
a
get
month
back.
stuff that we were doing was really nice. And then, things happen. Gyms get shut down or things happen and blah, blah, blah. And I'd like to be able to utilize that if Jason would allow me. And, he can get some training in as well. But yeah, for now, I'm setting up my home gym again. I mean, I'm getting it. So we're going to be virtual, and virtual is going to be here forever, I think now. Not that we're never going to get past all of this, but I got ideas. And it's just a financial, with no income coming in, it's hard for me to do this, but I'm trying. And I think I don't want to say too much because every time I do, it just never pans out. But let's hope by January or sometime even in January, maybe, to give me a little headroom, we'll get it going. But I definitely miss you two guys and wish you guys could come over here again and work out and this and that. But anyway, it's about time. We've been going on for an hour and a half, I think. I want to thank both of you guys again. And next week it'll just be the trio. It'll just be the three of us, the three guys.
The tree Utes.
The three Utes. You're talking to me. Yeah, we ought to do that next week and have a little comedy again, like we do all this funny stuff. We insult each other, everybody, back and forth. We make each other laugh off camera, like before or after the filming. And then, like, when we start filming, we get like all serious, and it's like, oh my goodness, we can't crack a smile. We're not really like that. We're ball busters, really. Yeah, I don't think people really know us that well like that. They only see the serious side. But well, anyway, I want to thank you guys, and KIT, keep in touch.
All right. Have a
You
good week,
guys.
guys.
You too.